Hi, I'm Sara Al Dehni. I come from Dubai, the UAE. Originally, I am Syrian and came here to compete in the PR category under the banner of Gambit Communications.
Also with Gambit Communications, I'm Alex, also representing the UAE, originally from the UK. I think that the Young Lions competition is all about kind of inspiring young creatives. Obviously it's for under 30s to enter, and you have a 24-hour campaign, a brief rather, and you have that campaign, you have to come up with it in that time span. It's very stressful, it's very hectic, but it is very rewarding.
How we would like to describe it, and how we usually try to describe it, is if there was ever an Olympics for our field, it would be the PR Young Lions, basically. So we're very excited to be here and super happy to be in this kind of creative space. It's one of a kind.
Because neither of us are very sporty, so we would never get to the Olympics.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot that kind of goes into it. So from the minute you receive the digital brief first. So from the minute you receive the digital brief, you kind of get down to deconstructing it, and then you have the live briefing where you ask all your questions. We each just take our time reading it, and then we group together, try to ideate, and again just reconstructing it and seeing if any of our ideas kind of fit the objectives. It's a long process actually. It's a very long ideation process.
You don't sleep, I'll say that much. So shall I answer this? So for our MEPRA, so our UAE version, we had that moment and we were it was that kind of aesthetic aha. And we were oh my God, it's a light bulb moment, and it's so rewarding, that moment. This one,
it kind of took a very long time, the ideation process. So we're kind of used to doing briefs and coming up with ideas in the first 3 hours, I would say. This brief in specific was a bit more challenging for us, so it took us quite some time, but it just made that aha moment a bit more rewarding for us. But yeah, it was definitely a long process, and it's just kind of that feeling of, this is what I want to do now, and you're setting your foot down, this is the idea, and you have full faith in it, and it's just a beautiful moment.
And I think as well, even if you don't have that moment, it's about sorting your ideas in a way that makes sense and is strategic. So it's about telling a story. Even if you don't have one moment and you have one key idea, it's about telling that story and putting your ideas together in a way that is still winning.
I think a lot of people, this is definitely something that we can, use for career advancement. But then I think on a more personal level, it's just the experience itself, to be here, to be inspired, to be with creatives, people that think like you. It's just a whole different experience. It's transformative for you on a personal level. Definitely things that you can apply later on when you get back to your countries. And then definitely it's something you can use for a little promotion push.
I saw Jay Shetty. I'm obsessed with him. And by the way, I never really watched his podcasts. Now I'm in love with the man. He did this really cool exercise where he basically made us all stand up. And it really inspired us about how to present. Because for us, it's the only two talks, to be honest, that I have loved and really admired were ones where they really interacted with the audience. They made them do something, and it was immediate. They came on stage and they were they had a question, or they had an exercise, they made a stand, they made us do something. And that was it was light bulb moment. We were we want to do that.
Inspired us for our own presentations as well. It's something we definitely implemented right away. Yeah. Well, I think generally speaking, I think there's a lot that we've seen that we've liked. So I wouldn't say that there's any one particular thing that's lacking, because yes, it is towards marketers, advertisers, but then again, PR is still a big category within the competition. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's lacking per se. I just think it's a really nice creative space. It's kind of really, it's inspiring for PR creatives, and our fields are generally very integrated, marketing, advertising, PR. So it's not you feel that kind of separation, I would say. What we would like to see in the future, I think that's very difficult. Do you mean in the briefs maybe, or in the competition itself? I wouldn't think anything's missing actually. A lot of the big brands are there, everything, everyone is there, everyone's present. I think maybe some panel talks specifically dedicated towards PR, because we've attended things that were more around creativity. There were talks, specifically for advertising, marketing. I feel something a bit more PR focused would be nice, would be very useful. But other than that, I feel like it was a great experience altogether. Yeah.
Dream brief. I'm going to go back to the UAE one. I feel like that was our dream brief because it was very close to our hearts. It was about women and domestic violence and all about kind of transforming perceptions around that, and it was very, very emotive and very meaningful. And I think like a purpose-led brief is always the most, like something that really hits close to home is the most important and the most, you know, like you're always going to be engaged in that.
I think for me, coming from the MENA region, but also like from a war-ridden space in Syria, I would love to see kind of a brief targeting, you know, the issue of refugees, the issue of, you know, war-ridden countries, and I feel like that would definitely be interesting for me on a personal level. I think that would be my dream brief, to kind of think and come up with a creative solution for something like that. It would just be absolutely amazing.
Such a good question. If I think of speaking to myself when I was just entering PR, I think it would be kind of don't pressure yourself too much. I feel like there's a lot of pressure to meet that deadline and be creative, and you have to go into the room, and by the end of the room, like when you leave that room, you have to have the idea. I don't think that is or should be the case. Yeah. I think, just don't pressure yourself, just enjoy it, honestly. And if you're coming to Cannes Lions, it's going to be the most amazing experience of your life.
I think for me as well, it's a lot of, you know, being curious. I would advise you to be as curious as you could possibly be. And I think a lot of people coming into communications in general, be it PR, advertising, or marketing, you have a lot to say and you feel like you want to say it all. I feel like in the beginning, I would advise people to, yes, communicate your thoughts, obviously, but also listen, like really sit down and listen to people and hear and be mentored and have that space, you know, listen not just to talk back, but really hear what people are saying to you. And I think that's something personally that's helped me in my career advancement, and I would advise everyone to do the same.
I'm actually the opposite.
Yeah.
Because I'm quite introverted, so I would tell myself, speak up in that meeting.
Yeah.